Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers, and we are going to talk about cleaning your object. So there may be things that you've done while you were modeling that may have caused some modeling errors. Some of those things can be n-gons and some other issues that you may have. You may have double faces on each other or vertices that are over top of each other when you're extruding. So I'm going to show you a couple things that clean up your model before you bring it into Substance Painter for texturing. So let's go ahead and take you through that. All right, the first thing you're going to do is just get your model selected, and we're going to go to, I'm going to hold down the space bar and go to Mesh, and we're going to go to Cleanup at the bottom, go into the option box. And in here, it's set up to, if I reset it up, if we set up this is what it's going to look like when you open it up. We want to just select matching polygons and apply to all polygon objects. Now, if I clicked on Cleanup Matching Polygons and I wanted to check for faces with more than 4 sides, I just wanted to tell me where those faces with 4 sides are, because if I don't and I click on Cleanup, mine's going to clean it up and probably triangulate the whole thing, and we don't really want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Apply to All Polygon Objects and selected Matching Polygons. So we're going to have this selected faces with more than 4 sides. That's called an n-gon. Okay, we don't have anything else selected right now. We will, in the next phase, go try to find lamina faces in non-manifold geometry, which is impossible to see with our eyes. We will have to have Maya take care of those for us. Okay. So let's go ahead and click on Cleanup. And as you can see, I have some errors that I need to take care of. And this is good because I can show you what those errors are. So it looks like we've got errors on these polygons here. They'll turn kind of a orange color. And if I hit the 5 key, so you can see them better when you hit the 4 key, which is wireframe. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see what the problem is. So I'm going to right click over and go to Vertex. And as I expected, when I'm cleaning my polygons up, I have some floating vertices. So these floating vertices can be a real problem. So what I need to do is I just need to select them and delete them. So I'm going to go into the front view. I'm going to hit the 4 key, and I can see those vertices up on top. So I'm going to go ahead and just marquee select all the way over here to over here, and you'll see them pop up. They'll turn yellow, and all I have to do is click on delete. I'm going to do the bottom part and just kind of select that area here and hit delete. Okay, now that should be as simple as that. Should fix the problem. Should be that simple. Now I'm going to go into selection mode. I'm going to go back to mesh and clean up, and we're going to do this. We're going to do the sequence again. Click on cleanup, and this time it just selects the object. It turns it off because it's not selected anymore. When I hit the 4 key, nothing is selected. So that's good. That's a good sign. If it continues showing that spot to have problems, then you're going to have to go in there and maybe do a couple things. Okay. So what I would suggest that you do is right click and go to Vertex. I'm going to show you a little trick I learned. I'm going to go ahead and marquee select all of these points. Okay. I'm going to go to Edit Mesh. I'm going to go to Merge. Okay. Go into the option box. And we're going to set this pretty low. I think when we reset it, it's like 0.01. We want to put a 0 in front of the 1 and hit enter. And then merge. Now before I merge, I'm probably going to want to go to Windows or Display, Heads Up Display, and go to Poly Count. Okay. Now this is going to give me the poly count of all the vertices I have, 456. Okay, so if I have double vertices on top of each other, this will merge them down together within the threshold of 0.001. Okay, so if they're on top of each other, they'll be taken care of. And I'm going to watch that number, 456. I'm going to go ahead and merge. Okay, now the number is still 456 though, so no vertices are on top of each other or sharing the same space. So that's a good sign. That's good. That's how I can fix some problems as well. The other cleanup you're going to want to do is we're going to look for lamina faces. So these kind of faces are really hard to detect just by visually looking at your model. So I'm going to go into Mesh, I'm going to go to Cleanup, and I'm going to go click on Cleanup Matching Polygons and Apply to Selected Objects. I'm going to scroll down, I'm going to turn faces with more than 4 sides. We've already taken care of that. And we're going to go click on Lamina Faces and non-manifold geometry. And we're going to clean up normals and geometry. Okay? All right. So with that done, this is our next step of cleaning up our model. When that's done, then we're going to click on Clean Up. Now you're not going to see a thing because we're letting Maya actually take care of it. It's not going to show us where they're at. Okay? All right? So that's our cleanup phase. So once you have everything cleaned up, go back into selection mode, and I want you to center pivot your object, delete by type history, and freeze transformations. And now you're ready to export this out into a package like Substance Painter. Of course, you have to have everything UV mapped. Okay, so if you're using Udom tiles, it'll look something like this. Okay, so I've got everything UV mapped. So just those are the things you got to do. One last thing to just let you know, if I open this up all the way, you can see that I'm using Udom tiles, and this is the first tile. So that would be 1001, 1002, and so on and so forth. You want to keep them in a sequence, and you also want to kind of figure out what parts that you're going to have as material. So these are the UVs that I'm going to have a material for that, a different material for this, and so on and so forth. This makes it a lot easier for me in Substance Painter to separate my materials in layers, okay? And it will also make it my textures a lot more efficient, and I can then just parts of the model that are larger I'll be able to give a lot larger UV space for that. So it's a lot more efficient. Anyway, with that said, you don't want to have them touching the sides. You don't want to have them overlapping. You don't want them to go outside of the bounds. This is really close. You can see that. And you have to be careful, but I'm not there yet. So you can see that I've got them spread apart. Is this overlapped? It looks like these are overlapped. So I've got to make sure, and that's going to cause an issue. Overlapped UVs are not good. It doesn't like that. It will spit it out as overlapped. So make sure you separate these, okay? It's really important. Anything overlapped is a bad thing, and it won't, and this is probably what it'll give you kind of an error when you try to bring your object into a Substance Painter, okay? So just follow those rules. Don't touch the borders. Don't overlap objects, and make sure that you clean your object up really good. Okay, so you make sure you make those changes, and just no overlapping, and so now it's not overlapped. Okay, and you also, the mistakes I see is when somebody is actually saving this out. So as a texture, we got to make sure the object is in selection mode. And we want to save or do a snapshot. Once you get all your UVs correct, then you go into the UV snapshot. Of course, I'm going the highest resolution I can. And we're looking across. So U is horizontal this way. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I do 7. And then we're just vertical 1. This is called 1 UV tile, Udom tile. So you're going across 7, and then you're just using 1. If you have 2 rows, okay, then you'll have to add a 2 to that if you have 2 rows of Udom tiles, okay? I try to keep the Udom tiles to a minimum, between 4 and 10. I wouldn't max it any farther than 10. And that's plenty good for just regular objects. And you could just use standard UV, which is just filling up one tile. That's fine. You're just gonna, if it's a really big object, you probably want to spread those out. or you want something really high resolution. So yeah. Okay, so those are the choices you have, and if you just do one tile, it'd be 1 and 1, okay? But we are using 7, we're using Unum tiles, and we need to tell it that we need to have a PNG. When we actually render in Maya, PNG is the best. When you're taking it into Unreal, you probably want to compress that to JPEGs. You probably want to change that to JPEGs. I always save out of, and I'll take you through this during after the texturing, how to export your textures. But after you export textures, you can export them as PNG if you want to render it in Maya. Export them as JPEGs if you want to render, or JPEGs or Targas if you want to render them in Unreal. So I do all three of those, and then I put them in folders, and that's how I grab them. So anyway, whatever you decide to do, that it's okay. Just tell it where you want it to go. I would usually put it in my source images folder. You can place them where you want, but I recommend source images. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to name it something a little different because I've done this quite a bit. So let me do that real quick. All right, so save that, and everything is good. Go ahead and apply close. All right, so depending on where you're exporting your stuff to, I'm assuming that you're going to take the next step, which is texturing. So save this out as an OBJ. So File, Export Selection, and save it out as an OBJ. And here we go. If you don't see it here, I've already sent this out already. I've already got it textured, so I'm not going to do it again, but that's what you do, export your selection. Okay, great, that's it. I'll see you in the next video on exporting your textures out and then bringing them back into Maya. All right, I'll see you then.